Today is Labor Day, and starting today, the statutory minimum wage has been raised to $40 per hour. Chief Executive John Lee marked the day by thanking all laborers for their contribution to society, while activist groups staged rallies calling for more protection of labor rights. On Labor Day, Chief Executive John Lee posted on his social media page, thanking all workers for their hard work and important contribution to the nation and society's development. Also spotlighted a raft of measures introduced in his policy address aimed at improving labor rights. Lee said many of the policies have been making strides. They include an increase in the statutory minimum wage to $40 per hour and harsher penalties for occupational safety violations. The labor sector welcomed the government's abolition of the mandatory provident fund offsetting mechanism, but said it's too late to be put in place as it will only take effect in 2025. The Federation of Hong Kong and Kowloon Labor Union said some employers might fire the workers in a 2-year window before the measure comes into force, and that would allow these bosses to still raid workers' pension funds for the severance and long service payments. Marking Labor Day, the League of Social Democrats headed to the central government offices, urging the government to set up standardized working hours, a universal retirement scheme, and unemployment assistance. The Hong Kong Women Workers Association also petitioned the government, calling for more protection of freelancers' interests and that of the working poor.